Hi, my name is Rachel Jakubowicz, and this is a resource for educators on the Least Restrictive Environment, or LRE, from the IDEA resource page. The least restrictive environment means that students with disabilities must be educated with their peers to the maximum extent appropriate. This is determined by their Individualized Education Program, or IEP team, and the student should be placed in the general education classroom where they can have the greatest opportunity to be integrated with their regular education peers. According to the IDEA website, the state must have in effect policies and procedures that ensure that public agencies in the state are meeting the LRE requirements of this section of the IDEA. Each public agency also must ensure that, to the maximum extent appropriate, children with disabilities, including children in public, private institutions, or other care facilities, are being educated with children who are non-disabled or children who are in the general education classroom. Special classes, separate schooling, or other removal of children with disabilities from the regular education environment occurs only if the nature or severity of the disability is such that education in regular classes with the use of supplementary aids and services cannot be achieved satisfactorily. Here are some additional requirements stated by the IDEA on state funding mechanism. A state must not use a funding mechanism by which the state distributes funds on the basis of the type of setting in which a child is served that will result in the failure to provide a child with a disability free appropriate public education according to the unique needs of the child as described in the child's IEP. If the state does not have these policies and procedures to ensure compliance with this paragraph of the section, the state must provide the Secretary an assurance that the state will revise the funding mechanism as soon as feasible to ensure that the mechanism does not result in placements for the child that violate this paragraph of the IDEA. As educators, we of course know that there is not one suitable or right way for all students to learn. Therefore, I have included some recommendations for general education classroom placement and recommendations for special day program placement when determining a child's LRE. First, general education classrooms instruction can be for the entire school day with accommodations modifications added and implemented to the regular instructional program. Second, we have a general education classroom setting instruction for the entire school day with individualized instruction for partial day. Third, general education classroom instruction for the whole day and individualized instruction by a special education teacher or other related services for part of the school day. And four, general education classroom instruction for most of the school day with individualized instruction or services provided in another setting for part of the school day. And then for our students who cannot spend a majority of the day in the general education classroom, we have recommendations for special day programs. First, self-contained classroom instruction for most of the day with instruction in the general education classroom for a part of the day. And then we have self-contained classroom instruction for the entire school day with opportunities for integration with non-disabled peers. This can be in extracurricular activities or non-academic activities. And then we also should consider non-general education setting placement options for our other students and for students whose IEP determined that the educational environment is not the best for their educational growth. Considering in-home, hospital, or residential care facility placements is also another option. And now we have LRE Placement Determinations. Here, in List 1, the following questions must be addressed in discussions concerning the student's placement determinations. First, we must ask ourselves, can the needs of the students be met in the educational placement available at the school of residence? Second, if the needs of the student can be met at the school of residence, are supports, services, accommodations, or modifications needed to ensure the environment is going to be effective for that student? And finally, if the educational placement available at the school of residence initially appears not to meet the needs of the student, what supplementary aids and services would make the environment effective for that student. Next, in list 2, these are some LRE determination principles. First, we have special education as a service that students with disabilities receive, not a place where students are sent. 2, IEP team determinations, including placement and supplementary aids and services, must be based on that student's individual needs. 3, to the extent feasible, student supplementary aids and services to promote learning must be moved to the student as opposed to the student moving to the supplementary aids and services. And 4, the extent to which students with disabilities are integrated with their non-disabled peers positively impacts their educational achievement and their social growth. Some other personal implementations teachers, such as general education teachers and special educators can implement are things such as co-teaching. This is when regular education teachers, special education teachers, or any other teachers or instructors collaborate to provide the best form of teaching and learning methods, and providing them with the best learning environment based on the specific needs and recommendations of that child that is listed in the child's personal IEP. And then we have the Resource Specialist Program. This is a program that accommodates some students that are not determined feasible to spend the entire day in a regular learning environment such as school. The primary role of this resource is to provide instructional services to the student with disabilities whose IEP team determined that the service through the Resource Specialist Program is going to be the least restrictive environment for that student. As mentioned before, there of course is no right or fit way to teach all students, so I have included an extra video on least restrictive environment benefits and examples from study.com. This provides just a little bit of additional resources and additional information on what I have covered today on how to implement different teaching techniques and LRE techniques into the teaching environment. All information used within this slideshow came from understood.com, the IDEA, and study.com. Thank you. For more information on the IDEA pillars, refer to the IDEA website. Thank you.